Good evening, everyone. Let's get into this. There we are. How's everyone doing tonight? Yeah, let's go. That's right. Good. Good. I am doing well. It's a Wednesday. It's Wednesday, my dudes. And yeah. We are going to get into this. Now, we left off last week just finishing up the main story in Tabantha, Hebra region, with the Rito tribe. Of course, there's lots of other side quests that we could do in here before we move on. But my friend Oaf mentioned earlier today, why don't we hit up some Great Fairies and start that quest so that we can properly be prepared for later game. So, I think that's a good place to start. Of course, we'll also hit up some shrines, maybe help a couple of Koroks, do some other things on the way, get some memories, you know, see where it goes. But ultimately, I would like to make our way down, or across, to the Elden region, and we will see how far we get in that regard. Okay. Now, looking back at our album, I think the next memory is in Elden anyway. So I'm going to head to Lookout Landing, nice central point, and we'll make our moves from there. The fairy quests. Yes, in my own personal playthrough, not on live. I don't know about everyone else.
Oh.
Does he? Oh, he does. Oh no, he has it, even in game. I just looked. Hello, hello. A mystery in the depths. Ooh. Mysterious.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You're right there.
Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Oh. Hmm. Uh-huh. Aw. Uh-huh. Yeah. Woohoo!
Okay. Well, I distinctly recall that we made our way over here before. We'd already followed the statues. So we may as well finish this one off before we carry on. Probably just easier to depict a single hand than the three. It's kind of a complicated symbol, I guess. I don't know. We got Tulin. Where did he go? Oh, there he is. Best boy. All right. I mean, it kind of looks like Rauru. Scared that one. And here we are. We're back at the Great Central Abandoned Mine. Look at those lovely Zonai dragons. Now we're gonna go inside. Boom. Ooh. It's moving. There we go. We've got ourselves auto build.
Ooh.
Ah. Oh. Ah.
Lickety split, he says. Yeah, I guess that's alright. Boom. It's just like magic.
Ooh.
I wish we could too. Here we go. We're gonna fight Master Koga. Also, I have to point this out. How are they reading the texts down here? Does anyone know? Because wouldn't the texts be written in Zonai? Unless the Hylians were down here, cataloged everything, left writings, and then these guys found them thousands of years later. But they found the text down here. That's what he said. Look, we can go back here. Let's go back. All right, let's see. I saw the moment you obtained the ancient power we've sought for so long. The highlight of all the musty old texts we've found in this land. It remembers objects you've assembled and can instantly reproduce them. A long-lost ability from the distant past. They found the texts down here, in this land, in the depths. And who was down here in the depths? Unless we can prove that there were other people that were down here. Based on all of the evidence, it seems the Zonai were the ones that were down here. The Frogs ain't people. Although the Frogs do kind of look like constructs. Is there a correlation there? I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna get into this fight. I need a weapon, eh? H3, where is he? Oh, he's over there. Don't see him. There he is. Boom. Could be. It could be the same voice actor. I mean, he kind of is an angry mule. That's not wrong. The former Gerudo mine. Ooh. Sweet. All right. So we got Master Koga. And then, of course, we met Toro a little earlier. I wonder if there's Zonai ruins outside of Hyrule. Since we didn't meet Toro in Breath of the Wild, and it mentions that he spent a long time traveling solo investigating ruins. Be interesting. It could be that just the Zonai in Hyrule were the ones that died out or disappeared mysteriously. Maybe they still survived in other parts of the world. Just like we have Gorons and Zoras and all sorts of other races that exist outside of the land of Hyrule. Could be. Yes, his magnifying glass is Zonai. It's pretty neat, eh? Woo! The lens of truth. Maybe. All right. We got some parts here. Now we can build. Boom. So, I want to mention this. I've been in the Forge, Gamesmith's Forge, in the last couple of days. It's been really active. A flurry of activity, as some of you might know. We were discussing a lot of the discoveries about Zonite and Hoverstones and how the Sky Islands operate. And I mentioned a Zonite slurry. If any of you know even a little bit about quarrying or mining, smelting, that kind of thing. Typically when an ore is processed and pulverized, which we see a lot of the pulverizing or machinery in a lot of the mines across the depths, that ore is smashed into a fine particle, which is usually mixed with water, and the result is what they call a slurry. The sort of gravelly powder around these chunks of Zonite ore, you can see a faint green color throughout it. This is the Zonite slurry. And this material has been used in some of the Sky Island construction. So, despite the fact that it is finely powdered and doesn't have a whole lot of whole pieces of Zonite left in it, it's still useful as a building material, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it really is. The Zonai charges are what power Zonai devices and constructs. A charge can be consumed to replenish your energy cell. Pretty basic. It can also be fed into device dispensers to produce Zonai devices. Crystallized charges are a solidified form of Zonai charges. We mainly use them as raw material in the construction of energy cells. Pretty cool. Woo! We now have 200. We can get 2 energy cells. Okay. Now, I don't really want to head to the Gerudo mine right now. Always go there a little later. But we completed this task. Although I guess the next part of it is to follow him there. Could do it. wouldn't take long. We've already been pretty much there. We got as far as the Karakara abandoned mine. I don't know. Oh, time for a musical adventure. Okay. We will do this next segment of Master Koga, and then we will go to Woodland Stable. That's the plan. I've already committed. I've already teleported. We're halfway there. Now... do I have... Oh. I was hoping that I had a cart that would make this a lot easier. We will make do. Now, just pointing the right way, more or less. Huh. Guess that's our first large Poe. I know we've got a giant Poe before, but I guess we missed the other. And this is one of those pulverizing devices that I mentioned. When this would be powered, this arm, as you can see, runs almost to the edge. It would crush everything inside of this hopper, and then the slurry would get sent down into the center. Welcome. Okay. I want to get... I want to get this light root before I fight Toga. Light him up. Ah, there he is. I grab this. Maybe they do. Although, I'm wondering, they do have lanterns in a lot of the places where they do set up. So I'm thinking they just have a low light level surrounding. And most of their Zonai devices, the machines that they use to drive around, tend to have the lights on the front. So maybe not. Whoops. There we go. Now we can get 3. The Gerudo King has arrived. He's trying to sneak in. He's trying to steal our plans. Just kidding. Sup? Probably. Love it. Boat on land. Now, we head back to Lookout Landing. We go talk to Josha. I'm gonna just say Josha. And, then to Woodland Stable. With these guys.
Oh. Oh.
Oh. Ah. Hey. I love how this line reflects so well
with Zelda's line in Twilight Princess about light and shadow.
Ah.
Napping. He's always napping. Yes, he is. But he's napping. He does. He doesn't disappoint.
Ah.
Was this here before? I think this must have fallen recently.
Yeah. Hmm. Oh. Hmm. Ah.
What's your stance regarding the identity of the goddess statues? Is it Hylia herself, or is the statue its own separate being? So, I believe that it is Hylia, but it's kind of a proxy of Hylia. So each statue acts as a proxy, as an avatar that her immortal spirit can come down to and communicate with those who come to her for prayer. Each statue, though, despite being just a vessel for her spirit, also acts kind of like its own separate body. So each separate body can have its own, not so much quirks, but they recognize each other as separate bodies. So the Mother Goddess statue being the largest one, and then the three at the springs being the second largest, and then all of the ones that are spread across Hyrule, mostly at the towns, but also in some caves, would be the lesser statues. Yes, it is kind of like the Kyoshi and other Avatar statues in Avatar The Last Airbender. That is exactly the same sort of concept. Thank you, Lord of the Master Sword.
Hmm. Ah.
Me too. I thoroughly enjoyed the live action one. There's a lot of differences between it and the animated series, of course, because they have to crunch quite a bit. But they make it work, in my opinion. And I like it.
Oh. Ah.
Oh, Dan, we don't speak about the movie. The movie doesn't exist. There. Now we can carry a few more weapons than we did before.
Oh. Hmm?
Where did they find this schema stone? That's what I want to know.
Aha. Yeah. Okay. Hey!
Oh. Oh.
Huh. Oh. Aha. Yeah.
Well, welcome back, Oaf.
Mhm. Mhm. Aha. Aha. Mhm. Oh.
Okay. Talk to Robbie quick so that he can move back to his lab.
Oh, hey. Ow.
Kinda curious that he was the first person to notice the shrines. Or at least he's self-proclaimed to be the first person to notice the shrines. Methodius, I believe you are correct. That is what I go by. It's the blood of the goddess, not the goddess reincarnated every generation. The only one, as far as I know, and as far as I'm aware, that was Hylia was Zelda from Skyward Sword. And obviously, after her death, because she was already reawakened as the goddess, she must have ascended or gone to the spirit world and continues to act as the goddess and is the one that you speak to through the statues, in my opinion. What am I doing? Bunchin. Oh, I didn't see that. There was a lot of activity going on. Did you cover what we talked about in that regard? We covered a lot about the Bunchin. Are you referring to the Ganon Bunchin? Ah. So, I guess while I walk over to the shrine, I could dabble. I could dabble with that. So, I've had a lot of people ask me where I think the distant past in Tears of the Kingdom takes place. My answer is that it takes place exactly where it says it takes place, at the founding of the Kingdom of Hyrule. So, I place it after Skyward Sword, but before any of the other games. Then, the next question that comes up all the time is, well, if that's the case, and Ganondorf was around early and sealed underground, what are all the other Ganondorfs? How do you explain that? Simple. his hatred and his malice keep getting manifested or reincarnated and in the flesh on the surface. In the series, this is known as Bunshin. Now, in A Link to the Past, Ganondorf had done this with Aghanim. In Phantom Hourglass, the god of the Ocean King, did the same thing. He split himself into multiple parts. He created Oshus, the old man, to circumvent or to escape, at least partially, from a seal. Funny that, right? Ciela, Hyla, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but the fairy, the spirit of courage, does the exact same thing. It's something that happens a lot in the series, and Ganondorf himself has done it on numerous occasions. So it's not that far-fetched to think that this Ganondorf, this what I'll call the original Ganondorf, has been doing the same thing subconsciously from deep below ground. That said, I don't think he's doing it alone. In the memories, we see him flanked by two notable characters. Those characters, if you happen to notice the coloration or the writing on their sashes, are actually Koume and Kotake, but they look a lot younger than we've ever seen them before. Now, in Ocarina of Time, the first time we ever meet the two Gerudo witches, they are 400 years old, at least by the adult era. 400 years old. And they are the surrogate or foster parents to the Ganondorf we meet in that game. I think they, just like they do in Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, were responsible for performing certain dark rituals to siphon off some of the sealed Demon King's essence, place it into a new body, and then teach him how to be Ganondorf, and then set him loose on the world. That is the Ganondorf that we meet. It is part of the original Ganondorf, but it has none of his memories. Just like the original Ganondorf that's sealed under the castle has no recollection of any of these other lives because they were lived separately while he was sealed and stuck in place. And that is how I explain my belief in the timeline. And I think it fits. It has evidence in favor of it. It has a lot of evidence that it has happened before. So I don't think that it's out of the question that it is happening in this instance. Does that mean it's a fact? No. Do I believe it? And do I subscribe to the idea? Abso-freaking-lutely. So, that is my Zed talk for the topic. Thank you, Oaf, for bringing it up. At some point, I'm gonna have to make a theory video on it. I've already been working on making a graphic explaining it, but it's been a while since I've done video editing, so yes. I think a Zed talk would be perfect. I love that terminology because most people would know what a TED talk is, and if you don't, super easy to find online. TED talk. And they go over all kinds of different topics. There are many official ones and unofficial ones. I just love... I mean, if we're going with a Zelda theme, make the Ted into a Zed. Why not? Do I think Kotake and Koume knew the OG Ganondorf was technically still alive and buried, but sealed by Rauru? Yes. 110% yes. I believe that they were aware of what happened, because a lot of people were aware of what happened. Think about it. The sages that were there were well aware of what happened. The Hylians became aware of what happened because they talk about the sealing of the Demon King. They talk about their mighty first ruler imprisoning him. It doesn't say that he killed him. It says he imprisoned him. The plaque under the castle says that. And in modern Hyrulean. So it's something that they've known for quite some time. I mean, I wouldn't think they would look all that great if they're well over a century and they're, you know, kicking 400 years old. The only time they make themselves look better is when they fuse together using magic. I mean, they can't stop the aging process. They could probably slow it down, but 400 years is a long time. Let's be real. Now, wouldn't Ganondorf kill them after transforming into the Demon King? Not if they were the ones originally serving him. So, we know, thanks to Tears of the Kingdom, at least it's heavily implied, that there were at least multiple factions of Gerudo. The ones that followed him, and the ones that dressed all in black, that had the war paint, and all that end up going with him to Hyrule Castle in Rauru's time, and pledging their fealty. Of course, they're insincere. Ganondorf is insincere. And right next to him, Koume and Kotake. But later, during the imprisoning war, we see, oh, there is a Gerudo elder, the one who becomes the Sage of Lightning. And she is not wearing all black. She is wearing a dignified dress, which is reminiscent and takes cues from a lot of the Zonai and Hylian outfits of that era, just like a lot of the other races do at that time. So those ones, that faction, genuinely sided with the Kingdom of Hyrule, but not all of the Gerudo did. So yes, there are good Gerudo and evil Gerudo. Oof, I would love that. You want to work on the Ganondorf theory video? We can absolutely do that. Yeah, so by the Zora Sage, or sorry, they're not a sage at that point, the Zora Elder, they've received word that the last free village in the Gerudo region had fallen. So, there were free villages, so ones that were not associated with the Demon King or with Ganondorf, and obviously the factions of Gerudo that were. The ones, again, that we saw dressed in black war paint, the same spiked, swirling symbols on their attire that he also has on his robes. And then, of course, again, Koume and Kotake, his mothers, I mean, he has their names embossed into all of his gloom weapons. I really don't think he would have just offed them. There's no reason for it. I mean, they raised him. They're evil, at least as evil as he is. And they followed him blindly. It's the ones that would have resisted, like the Naburus of the Gerudo tribe, that he would have had issue with. He also, fun fact, in the cutscene, the memory that he shows to the new sages and Link, the localization kind of botched it a little bit. In Japanese, what he says instead, and I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't want to pull up my documents while I'm trying to stream. But paraphrasing, he mentions that he and his army are going against everyone who sides with the kingdom of Hyrule, and that he will eliminate all of those who stand with that kingdom. That's the localization said, eliminate this kingdom and her allies, which, of course, is fairly on the nose, but it's more nuanced and more specific in the Japanese. It's also not the power that he has granted to his army. They are talking about the power that Hyrule has, which he covets, which is wild. And I mean, that's another thing I can do. I can always pull and cover a little bit of the nuance between the Japanese and the English localization. If I'm doing a video in the future. But yeah, his motivations are very black and white in Japanese. In English, they're still there, but they're kind of hazy. But looking into it, absolutely wild. Highly recommend. Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Localization isn't just translation. The act of localizing means that they alter it. They make it different for each locality. If we did straight up translations instead of localizations, I think the world would be... I mean, the gaming world would be a much better place because there wouldn't be any weird differences and people would be more culturally aware, because really it comes down to a lot of the nuance in Japanese is nuanced to their culture. And so they figure certain topics, certain themes, certain phrases, that sort of thing, that might be too hard to grasp or too different for whatever reason because of the cultural difference. They just softly and quietly push those out and recolor them and recontextualize them in the locality of where they're doing the translation. Now, you can't just do that in a vacuum. There are a lot of different dialogues and characters and themes that are connected to each other. So if you're making changes in one aspect, you tend to have to make changes somewhere else to sort of recontextualize and balance it out. It's a whole process. I get the reason for it, but again, personally, I think it's unnecessary. And I think a straight up translation would be loads better. Loads. We're not simple. I mean, we can understand a lot of this stuff. And I mean, we live in the age of the internet. If you're not aware or not sure on something, you can easily look it up. It's not that hard. I mean, I've been learning a whole other language just to look into the nuance and the context of a lot of the dialogue, not just in this game, but in a lot of the games in the series. And several of you who know me and see me on Discord or on Twitter know that that's what I do. And it's fascinating, but it wouldn't be necessary if they had just done a straight up translation. And while we're talking about ancient Gerudo, did you know in Four Swords Adventures that the Gerudo have red eyes? Fun fact. Okay, do I want to go for this shrine over here? Probably. Do I like it? No. Yes, red eyes just like the Sheikah. You can see them in their sprites. I was trying to think of the word. Because Four Swords Adventures is a sprite-based game, not a 3D modeled game. But yes, they do have red eyes. So they have had, canonically, amber, orange, green, and red colored eyes. So there's quite a bit of genetic difference. But typically they tend to stay with one during a certain game, for whatever reason. Yeah, I am just gonna throw a fire fruit at the torch, but I wanted the chest. Well, the more you know. Ah, yes. I remember this one. Okay. Well, I'm going to go a little bit further until about 9:15, and then I'll take a quick break. And then we will continue on our way to the Great Fairy Just hit my table. Whoopsies. I love the fact that the term Gerudo exists in Skyward Sword, despite the fact that it's not associated with any people. Does anyone know where we see the term Gerudo in Skyward Sword? The dragonfly. That's right. Love that dragonfly. See, there are a couple of competing theories with evidence regarding the origin of the Gerudo symbol. One states that it comes from the face and the eyes of the Gerudo dragonfly. Another states that it comes from the markings on the back of a cobra. Both
Hi.
may well be true.
Mm?
Ooh. It said that Misko collected rare outfits from all over the world and hid their pieces throughout Hyrule. Now, the Misko the Bandit quests in Breath of the Wild tell us that a lot of those outfits came from somewhere in Hyrule Castle. This one here is telling us that he gathered them from all over the world. Interesting. It may only be a story, but who could resist the call of garments like that? So which one is true? They couldn't both be true, right?
Oh.
Yes, the goddess of the sand does have a snake on top of her head, and it is a cobra. Its hood is covering part of her head. Yeah, that hat's moving around a lot.
Ah. Ah. Oh.
All right. So with that, we are going to head on to Woodland Stable. Pizzas. Ah, Javier. So, Cadence of Hyrule is a spin-off, but the character that appears in the Gerudo region, his name is Ganondorf. Obviously, it can't be the same Ganondorf that we know. I mean, it could be, but it's a spin-off. It's, as far as we know, non-canon. So it's kind of inconsequential, but their name is Ganondorf. So make of that what you will.
Oh.
He's also a child. At least until you go later in the game. But, again, neither here nor there.
Ah. Ha.
I never noticed that the ruins that that's sitting on are Zonai ruins. It's like, it's an entire sky island by the looks of it. It just plopped out of the sky and fell into this lake of mud. Well. This is an interesting way to open this chest. Yes, this is Rauru Settlement.
Ah. Ah. Ha. Ah. 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 Oh. Yeah.
Okay. Still have a few minutes before break time. I think I can make it. See, here we go. Rauru Settlement. Good job, Tulin. Why do I have 2 torches? I don't need 2 torches. Seriously? Don't have any dazzle fruit? What? I... So, how many times have I played Tears of the Kingdom? Too many times to count. No, I'm fairly certain this is my 6th or 7th playthrough. I just really like the game. Cannot complain. Not that I've played 100% on every single one of those playthroughs, but I have done 100% or close to it on at least one. Yeah, I got everything except for about 200 of the Korok seeds. I was still missing... Yeah, about maybe 250 Korok seeds. But got literally everything else. Every award, every medal, every location, you name it, I had it. Lots of fun. I have thoroughly enjoyed this game, and I continue to thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah, the Koroks are a pain, especially since there are more of them now. I mean, it was already hard enough with 900, but now you have 1,000. Way to go, Lord of the Master Sword. I actually... recently restarted my master file, so to speak. Just for the heck of it. I'd already, like I said, other than the Korok seeds, I've gotten everything in it. It was just kind of sitting there. I figured, may as well start over. Now, I am trying to sneak up on one of these horses. They're not the greatest horses, but I don't have one yet. Or do I? Did I catch a horse earlier? Oaf might remember. Oaf, did I catch a horse at some point?
Ho, 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 ha.
I mean, I just caught one now, but I don't remember if I have one already.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh. Ah. Oh. 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 Oh.
Okay. Well, this one's not the best horse, but it's a good one to start with. So, yeah, okay. First horse for free. Cool.
Oh.
So that answers that question. All right. What should I name this spotted beauty? not Spot. Spot is reserved for the Spot. Any other name, though. You know what? I don't want to name him Zelda. Mito's not bad. Mito's not bad. Iota? Iota? Interesting. I saw Gerudo King. You mentioned something about Hobbit playthrough, and the first thought that came into my mind was Bilbo. I kind of like the sound of Bilbo. I think I'm gonna go with Bilbo.
Oh. Oh.
We got Bilbo the horse. Bilbo's not my best friend yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Sweet.
Oh.
Okay, well, it is a few minutes past when I was hoping to take a break, so I think I'm gonna take a break now. Gonna grab a snack, a drink, and I'll be back probably in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I'll say 10. Let's do 10 minutes. All right. I'll see you all back here shortly. All right. I think that was 10 minutes on the dot. Awesome. Okay. So we have Bilbo. We're gonna start this side quest. Nice. We got the pizzas. Where are the pizzas from?
Ah! Ah! Heh. Oh. Oh?
Hello, hello.
Oh. 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 Oh.
That's not supposed to happen. Weird, but okay. Peter Parker sold you pizza. Pix, or it didn't happen. Did he say it was pizza time when you got there? I've never done this before with a horse that doesn't follow directions. The guy. Pizza Parker? Love it. Are you thinking the particles are some kind of malice? What a twist.
Hi. Ah.
Huh? Hmm?
Maybe she wants to get a mud bath.
Huh? Yuck. Sapao.
When she says, we'll get the other performers with us again somehow, we all know it's Link who's gonna get them. He does kind of look a little bit like a Mario, doesn't he? In a weird way.
Huh? Mm. Huh? Mm. Huh?
All right, well, we have lots of bright bloom seeds, so we might as well put the miners
Mm.
set up.
Mm.
Except I am skipping.
Ma. Huh? Mm. Hmm.
It's just
Huh?
something about the sound she makes me very uncomfortable. Very.
Oh. Mm.
She enjoys doing this way too much.
Mm. Mm. Ma. Huh?
Well, probably just do the frostbite too.
Hmm. Huh?
Seems I'm missing materials, so I can't get the other ones up.
Oh. Mm.
That's okay.
Mm.
My little sister Kesa said she was going to a stable near the Gerudo region, southwest from here. Similar fact was pointed out in Breath of the Wild, actually, that the one we just met, Terra, is the eldest of the four sisters. So, yes, they have different ages, but we don't know how old they are. I think it could be. The Queen of the Fairies? The Queen Mother of the fairy world, yeah. That's as good a guess as any. Actually, I'm looking up in the chat there. If I remember correctly, the fairy in the Cave of Ordeals was a great fairy. The fairy queen is the one that looks like Fi that we meet in the Wind Waker. If somebody's got the receipts and can correct me, then go for it. But I'm pretty sure that the one in the Cave of Ordeals is a queen. Or a great fairy. I shouldn't be. Am I muted? No. No, I'm not muted. I'm just very, very quiet. I was very engrossed in the game, I guess. Okay. So, we've freed the first of the 4 Great Fairies. We have the Bolton and Kilton quest line started. That'll come in handy for later. Squeaking was driving me a little mental. The Great Fairies, not furries. I heard thunder.
Oh.
Yo, oaf. We were, talking with, was it Nil and Lord of the Master Sword earlier on the Forge? We were talking about some kids growing up and others not growing up. Pretty sure Shimei here hasn't grown an inch. She's the same size as she was in Breath of the Wild. The poor developers forgot all about her. Oh, also, I've never noticed this dialogue before, but it's good to know that the rhinos are still being acknowledged, even though they don't appear in the game anymore. It sounds big and brutal like a bear, kind of tusky like a rhino, but rumor is that it's not a bear or a rhino. Obviously, she's referring to the Don Don. But the fact that the woolly rhinos don't appear in Tears of the Kingdom anymore did appear in Breath of the Wild does kind of make me sad.
Oh. Ah. Ma. Mm. Oh. Ah. Mm. Ah.
Yes. Yeah, Shanav. There were rhinos in Breath of the Wild. Did Ganondorf kill the rhinos? I don't know. Well, there's a Dazzle Fruit. First one of the playthrough. Rhinos evolved into the Don Don. Interesting. I know I've come across in one of my other playthroughs that the Don Don are considered to be an ancestor of horses, which is just weird in a lot of levels, in a lot of different ways. But I mean, okay. Before I ride this up into the sky, the Zonite slurry that I was talking about in the depths earlier, here it is. You can see it inside of this chunk of sky rock. And I'm not talking about this green thing, which is part of a spike or stake. Talk about this stuff. The entire rock is made up of that slurry. You can see it even in the chipped part in the corner here. This darker gray exterior is just like oxidization. You can see some of the other stakes or spikes kind of holding the island together. Personally, I think the rocks that we see, especially on the edges, they act kind of like a structure or like a vessel that holds the soil or the structures or whatever else that's been uplifted. I believe that those rocks that we see, yeah, like a bowl, the rocks that we see lining the edges and the underside are made up of that slurry of zonite, and they're using it as a yeah, like a bowl, a vessel. It's part of the hover stone that is holding the Sky Island up. It gives it structure. Whatever material, soil, trees, flora and fauna that they decided to uplift at the time, it's all held up in that structure. And based on the fact that we can see several of those sort of stakes or spikes in the different corners of this smaller island, and we know that most of the small chunks that we see land on the ground also have matching parts of that stake. The islands that we're seeing were a bit larger at some point. Likely due to the upheaval, they've been falling apart, and those chunks are falling to the surface. But yeah, the rocks are artificial. These ones are. When you see like normal rocks and strata, those are naturally occurring. But these ones, the weird blocky edges, that sort of green and gray slurry mixed on the inside, those are artificial. Zonai made them. So, did Minoru lift most of these islands, or were they lifted previously by Zonai scientists? All of them except for the Great Sky Island and the 13 stone monuments were lifted previously by the Zonai. The Zonai themselves are said to have lived in the sky. There are mentions of Sky Islands in the legend of the Stormwind Arc, not the song. The song is like a condensed, shortened version of the legend. But you can actually read the legend in one of the notebooks. I believe it's at the same place we met Hearth, that cabin just before you go up the Hebra Mountains. There's the whole story of the Stormwind Arc is there, and it mentions Sky Islands. We know the Stormwind Arc already existed by Rauru and Sonia's time and the time of the Imprisoning War, because it is showcased as being the place where the Sage of Winds was located when Zelda went to go and visit the Sage. And in the story as well, it's described that a god, a figure that fell from the sky, is the one who made the ark and made all of the little boats using a mysterious power from their hand. Obviously a Zonai. Using Ultra Hand or Auto Build or a mix of both, pouring their mysterious power into the materials that the Rito had assembled, and building the line of ships. So that must have happened clearly before the events of the Imprisoning War, since the Ark already exists by that time. So Sky Islands already existed. And then, yes, we have the skydiving ceremony islands, which are said to have been used by Zonai youth coming of age. And then when you read a lot of the descriptions in Zonai devices, and I don't happen to have the Hoverstone yet, but the Hoverstone mentions that it's the technology that they used to lift Sky Islands up into the sky. Yeah, I definitely recommend reading through some of these. And if you can change the language into Japanese or you look online, there are some differences between the Japanese and the English, of course, that gives a little more details. But yeah, their civilization, their technology, all of it existed prior to the founding of the Kingdom of Hyrule by Rauru and Sonia. And it seems the Zonai in their heyday lived in the sky. It's just a handful of islands that were lifted post-war by the power of the sages.
Ha! Ah. Ah.
Yeah, it is the Rito who considered them a god. Again, in the legend of the Stormwind Arc, not the song of the Stormwind Arc, it goes over that the Rito, seeing this figure fall from the sky and survive, they can only describe them as a god, a kami, because of that sort of insane feat. I was gonna say, not kami, kami. Kami. Well, that was kind of trippy.
Ah. Ah. Oh. Oh.
It's quite possible that they were wearing a glide set. Being that the set is made for Zonai use, it's highly likely. Who stole your pizza? Was it you? course it was you. It does. We see a lot of the chevrons, those pointing patterns, with the red and the white and the blue. Yeah. Same things we see on the Sky Island ruins around that area of the sky. And of course, throughout the Wind Temple, the Stormwind Arc. I mean, they didn't originate in the sky. The Sky Islands would have been built and raised from somewhere. It's just their civilization thrived in the sky before they came back down during Rauru and Minaru's time and started mingling more with the people. It seems they kind of kept to themselves somewhat, kind of guiding from on high. I have a lot of Zonite swords. Because for all intents and purposes, the Zonai did come down from the sky. But that doesn't mean that they were born or originated from the sky. In the sense that generations have passed since they uplifted themselves using their technology, and then they started descending and coming back down. So for the Gerudo, the Hylians, a lot of the other primitive cultures at the time, they were seen as these godlike beings descending from the heavens. Meanwhile, while they are considered to be descendants of gods, they themselves are not gods. They are mortal. They are not infallible. And they're just like regular people. Because they were. They were just a race of beings. Beings who happen to have incredibly sophisticated technology and magical prowess, but mortals nonetheless. And yeah, looking at the depths, I mean, the depths are extremely developed, right? They were down there mining and producing zonite, which fueled their civilization. So we know they were coming down at some point. And that might have been the reason why. They likely ran out of the resources they needed to keep their civilization sustained. So then they had to come down and look for more of that zonite, more of the resources, and then developed some of the other cultures while they were down there. Yeah, the Uka are an interesting looking species. Their original design concept, though, was even more interesting, if I'm being honest. The decision to make them essentially humanoid Ukos, came at a later date, and a lot of it has to do with using them as an environmental tool to get around City in the Sky, which was a weird choice at best. They could have used something else. They didn't have to make the Sky People into these little chickens, but I mean, we've got to live with that choice now, as nightmare-inducing as it can be. The original concept art for them depicted them as tall humanoids with animalistic features. They had hairy or furry arms and legs. They had palmate or hand-like feet. Very tall, long necks. Strange eyes. They also wore sort of tribal clothing, including a literal bird headdress, which you can find it in Hyrule Historia, but it's also been shared and discussed on the official Zelda Twitter account back when Twilight Princess HD first came out. there was a whole sort of theme they went with where Mallow, quote unquote, was tweeting about different discoveries and characters and sort of giving a behind the scenes look. And they mention that this particular design was what the sky beings, the Uka, originally looked like. And then goes on to question what happened, which is exactly how I feel about it when I'm looking at the characters, because yes, it was after the Miiverse interview with the Happy Mask Salesman. So the Happy Mask Salesman Miiverse interviews, which went super well, they were very popular. Those happened for Majora's Mask 3D. And that sort of gimmick went so well that they started doing the same for some of the others. And they had done the same for Twilight Princess HD using Mallow. So I would definitely look that up if you're curious. I'm sure there's some remnants of it that exists. I know the Twitter account still exists. But obviously Miiverse itself is gone. But there might be some copies out there somewhere. Very fun. Yes, the creepy baby character. The shop owner who takes Hyrule by storm. Yes, that is the one. Ooh. Summer wing butterfly. I mean, the NPC designs for a lot of characters were weird, but yeah, the Hylians in particular were an interesting bunch. I mean, now they've come so far that they use, like, Mii Maker to create the Hylians. That's what they did for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Oh. I didn't take that last one apart. Now I gotta build it. Oh well. Oh. Sundelion. Can't forget those. a oaf. Here are some of those sky crates. Some of the really old, decrepit ones. There's a whole line of them here, and they seem to have sunken into the ground. Square patterns, though. Oh, they have the square patterns on them. They're just very heavily varied. Square. Oh, are you talking about the grate-like patterns? Yeah, they don't have that here. But the little spiral, and then the quadrants with the sort of thick outline, yeah. These are the crates. Sky crates. Alright. I'm gonna do this shrine. And then I'm going to hop down and get the nearby memory. Aw. Well, it was a pleasure having you, Javier. Have a wonderful evening and have a wonderful rest of your week. What was that? Before I go, could you reveal some info on the theory video you've been working with the Dream Shrine? I mean, we will definitely be discussing it shortly. I don't want to give too much away just because of the nature of the theory video, but just keep your eyes and ears peeled, all right? Take care. Yeah. Did not mean to summon Tulin's ability there, but now I did. Saving that one for later. All right. Take care, Gerudo King. We'll see you on the other side. The grate design is on grates, boxes, walls, ground impact zones, ancient texts. On Sonia herself. I don't know about that one. I know she's got some designs on her, but we see those designs on a lot of the Zonai, like, attire. It's like the crest. It's the crest of the Zonai. At least that specific pattern. The ones we see on the grates, like the grating and the like impact sites, so to speak, is a specific pattern made of the same sort of pieces, but instead of forming a single character or a single unit, a single symbol, it's kind of making a pattern, like a repeating pattern that just doesn't end. Alright. Memory time, go! Memory time, go. I remember during my first test stream, this was one of the, I think this was the memory that I unlocked during that time.
It is quite an interesting device. This is definitely not from this era. That said, I believe there may be a way to get the travel functionality working here. I'd like to tinker with it a bit. Would it be okay if I borrow it?
Yes, whatever you need. I really appreciate your help.
Then I'll hold on to it.
So you really believe my story? That I came from the future?
I never doubted you for a moment.
Spirit Temple Library.
Minoru,
Yes.
do
Yes,
you know
sir.
of a way we could help to return Zelda back to her time?
I suspect it was the power of your secret stone that allowed you to travel through time. To put it simply, secret stones amplify the power their owners possess. I am able to separate my spirit from my body. Rauru can repel or destroy evil with his power of light. And Sonia, she can control time.
Hmm.
As for you, I can sense both light and time powers. But your secret stone seems to amplify your time power.
Time power.
Ultimately, the secret stone only amplifies your power. It doesn't suddenly grant you mastery and control. That's still up to you. That means, if you don't already know how to get yourself home... There are stories about the secret stones and a forbidden act called draconification. To swallow a secret stone is to become an immortal dragon, one blessed with eternal life.
Interesting. Another way to reach the future, though not a very quick one. So you think these stories could hint at a solution to our dilemma?
Yes. But there is still more to those tales. To become an immortal dragon is to lose oneself. That is why it is forbidden. I thought maybe this could lead to a solution, some way to transcend time. But if you have to sacrifice your heart and mind, sacrifice what makes you you. I'm sorry. I wish I could help more.
Back where we started. There's still hope. I think the answer to this problem lies in study and learning more about the nature of your power. I'm sure Sonia would be happy to help you.
Okay.
I agree. Those 3 servants of the springs look an awful lot like draconified Zonai to me. The dark skeletons could be, but I think they're a lot older. Potentially even some of the first whoever underwent draconification. it likely happened a number of times before they were like, well, we should probably not do that. We're losing our people. But yeah, the appearances of Dinral, Nadra, and Farosh to me is... it can only be described as a draconified Zonai. Was tonight a chocolate night? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm not sure. But what I can tell you is it is 20 to 11, and we have been playing for a little over 3 hours. I think that's a good place to call it for the night. Let me give that a quick little save. But yeah. Yeah. Please do elaborate if you can. Can always leave it in the chat and we can comment upon it later. But otherwise, you can always reach out on Twitter or on Discord. And yeah, that's true. We're going to be doing a podcast this weekend. So, OG Oaf and myself and the Dream Shrines Zoe and Gamesmiths and I believe Dan the Man and Lord of the Master Sword, if I recall correctly. There's a number of us. We will be doing a podcast this weekend. Super stoked about it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be chit-chatting about a lot of different Zelda theories and Zelda topics. If you've caught one of them before, it's called Outside the Lore. And we had done it, I think it was 7 months ago. It's quite a while ago, the last time we gotten together. And of course, we have a few more of us joining us this time. But yeah, I'm pumped. I'm stoked. I am super looking forward to it. That said, I may not be doing a live stream on Friday, since I did one tonight, and I'm going to be participating in the podcast on the Saturday. I'm probably going to skip Friday just so that I can mentally prepare myself a little better. But yeah, I'm going to be bringing a few different topics to the table. We should definitely talk about the timeline discussion. We'll probably talk a little bit more about the Ganondorf theory. I definitely want to bring up some of the discoveries we've made about the Zonite. And I'm not sure what else. There's lots of things we've been discussing lately. And then, of course, the Dream Shrine and I may end up talking a little bit about the theory that we're putting together. But yeah. Check it out. That'll be Saturday what was the time? Was it 4 o'clock Eastern? Which equates to... Geez, what was the time? I think it was like 1 or 2 a.m. for Perth, Australia. And yeah, it's kind of all over the map because we have so many of us coming in from different parts. We're kind of all over the place. But yeah, keep an eye out. I'm sure one of us will be posting about it in the next little bit. I'm pretty sure GameSmiths is going to post about it, and then Oaf's going to share it. I'm going to share it. Everyone's going to share it. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. And yeah, guess that's about it for tonight. I am beat. Good. Oaf is looking at the times. Okay, well, we can post them quick before we completely sign off. This Saturday, April 20th, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Yeah, that sounds right. That checks. And then, yeah, I mean, time conversion, we can figure out the rest. But, yeah, at least for me and Oaf, 4 p.m. Eastern is our time zone. And that's when we'll be going live. So we will see you then. And until then, I'm LoruleanHistorian. Thank you so much for jumping in. If you've been here on the live, if you're hopping in later and just chilling and watching it after the fact, thank you. I hope you all have an amazing night, amazing day, amazing rest of the week, wherever you are. And yeah, keep being awesome. Take care.